customers. Hey, when was the last time you had your AC unit get a cool tune-up? Well, your AC system is just like a car. It needs regular maintenance to ensure it's in tip-top shape so you can stay cool and avoid paying expensive repair bills. That's why you should call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling. At Straight Shooter, we understand the importance of quality, dependability. That's why we offer a 1-hour appointment window, no diagnostic fee, no dispatch fee, just straight up, honest service you can trust. Call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling today at 619-922-3937. And for only $17.76, you'll get a complete AC tune-up, no bull, just cool. Or book online at straightshooter.ac. That's straightshooter.ac.
So I know I'm supposed to read a couple of things here, Dave. Did you watch the Olympics at all?
I refuse.
I don't watch the Olympics either. Alicia, do you watch the Olympics?
Not purposefully, but it's been on in the background.
Kind of caught a little bit
here
of
and there.
Jim, yeah. Olympics?
No way.
No way. I don't watch it.
I used to.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I used to. I don't think I ever really liked, but at least when I was a kid, it felt like there was some sincerity, and it wasn't just a bunch of professional athletes. And I don't know. Anyway, somehow, and I don't watch the news. This trickled up into my world, or down into my world. Yeah. I don't know, depending on what your opinion of me is. They put breakdancing in the Olympics this year.
I thought that was a joke when I saw that post.
Everybody in the world. Breakdancing was
a competition?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Seriously?
I thought breakdancing was dead 40 years ago.
Once you finally learned to do it.
And it wasn't cool back when it was cool. And next thing I know, breakdancing is in the Olympics. But that's not even the end of the story. What trickled up into my world is this. There's a woman who competed from Australia, and her name is Rachel Gunn. So there, it's gun related. Her name's Rachel Gunn.
Good.
And they showed her routine. I'm doing air quotes, everybody. And she looked like when I remember when I was 5 years old, and I'd say, "Hey, Mom, watch me dance," and I'd kind of like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
She was writhing around. You didn't have to be a dance fan or a break dance fan to recognize that she looked like a fish out of water, literally a fish out of water, like flopping around. And I thought, this can't be real. This cannot be real. First off, it can't be real that there's breakdancing in the Olympics. Yes, that's real. It can't be real that she's an actual competitor. Not only is she a competitor, and this is why I bring it up, she's 36 years old, and she's still competing in breakdancing in the year 2024. That, as if that's not embarrassing enough. But she is a professional break dancer. That's what she does for a living. And that's what she's done for a living for like 20 years. She is from she's from Australia, and this is why I bring it up. She has a BA from an actual university in contemporary music. Okay, fine.
Give her that.
That, whatever. That's kind of a waste of time, but whatever. At least she has a degree, I guess. She has a PhD in cultural studies. Okay, that seems a little more time wasty, but it's even worse. Her thesis was in deteriorizing gender in Sydney's breakdancing scene, a B-girl's experience of b-boying. She has a PhD in women's breakdancing in the city of Sydney, Australia. She's a doctor. You have to call this woman doctor.
Really?
And she was in the Olympics. By the way, you know how many? So it's like a point system because it's totally subjective.
Well, of course.
It's not a sport, in any way. It's completely and totally subjective. You know how many points she earned?
How many?
0. She was so bad that this joke of a competition, she completely failed. She's turned in. Basically, they're talking about she may have single-handedly completely destroyed the idea of having breakdancing in the Olympics, which is sounds like the only useful thing she's done in her whole life.
Oh my!
Breakdancing. What a complete. Her name is Rachel Gunn, but her B-girl name is Ray Gunn.
Ray Gunn.
And I got to tell you,
creative.
That's kind of cool, to be honest. I got to be honest.
Well, she got a free trip to France.
That's true.
Yeah.
Unbelievably hilarious. What a totally wasted life.
Shall we sponsor Alicia next year?
Yeah, do some breakdancing.
Can you do a breakdance?
Oh, I'm very white. You don't want to see that.
Is she white?
Whiter than Rachel Gunn from Australia?
I think I probably am.
I got to tell you, I used to kind of be against the idea of cultural appropriation, but now I get it. Like, yeah, I'm totally against the idea that it was bad. Like, I'm against. She is totally. If we can just stop one person from being Rachel Gunn in the breakdancing Olympics.
Now, if they bring in country, I can 10-step and 2-step. I got a fighting chance there. Yeah, I can do that.
So how many years has this been in the Olympics?
This is it. First year.
And the last.
I hope, please God, say it's the last. It's just so ridiculously embarrassing. All right. Anyway. Okay, so on that note,
that's why you won't watch TV anymore.
I
cannot, that came up on your phone.
Well, it all came up. It came up like through like Instagram and YouTube.
Kind of like throwing up.
Yeah, kind of. You know where it came up? It came up right in the back of my throat, and there was like this gross acidic taste. Oh,
I remember.
And I'm like, I gotta get to the bottom of that. And there it was, Rachel Gunn from Australia. Unbelievable.
Michael, have you seen the Filipino diving team, national diving team?
I feel like this is like a horribly racist joke.
No racist joke. There's a video sprawling around. I'll have to show it to you off the air, and it's hilarious. These guys can't dive for the life of it, and they were trying to compete for the actual Olympics, and it was just
belly flop.
Yes, Olympics. It was really that bad. Yeah, I'm serious. I'll have to show it to you later.
Say, man, I just don't get it. The older every passing year, I start to understand the grumpy old guys in my neighborhood. And I'm just like, why is this guy such a grump and wants everybody off their lawn? I get it. I just get it. All right. Thank you for entertaining. I actually have some Q&A. We'll push that to the 4:45 segment. Get your gun prom tickets at gunprom.com. Join us at gun prom. There will be no breakdancing. Where having fun means raising funds to protect your rights to self-defense. It's a lot of fun. It's a great. It's going to be casino night. You're going to get to come and play craps and roulette. We're going to have a silent auction. I just found out that you're going to get to do you're going to get to bid in a silent auction on a helicopter ride to Catalina. Mm-hmm. How cool is that? Mm-hmm. You may win a gun if you work hard and play your cards right. Literally, play your cards right. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. There are plenty of tickets. It's $175 for an individual ticket, but that comes with a $100 coin or chip that you can play games with, including, like I said, roulette, craps, poker, all the good stuff. So get your tickets. Just go to gunprom.com. Go to gunprom.com. If you haven't purchased your tickets, do so.
And when's the date?
ASAP. It is October 12th. It's a Saturday night. It's in Carlsbad. It's going to be a hoot. So join us. And then also the San Diego Gun Show is on September 7th and 8th. It's going to be at the Center for the Arts in Escondido. We're going to have a symposium with a bunch of cool guest speakers. We're also going to have classes, and that's all going to be posted on gunownersradio.com. Just go to gunownersradio.com/gun show. You can actually get your tickets online right now, and you'll skip the line. You won't have to wait in line. But the gun show is going to be really great. We got a lot of really positive feedback from the last one in Escondido. I think we may have hit our stride. There were a couple of bumps in the road, but man, it seems like everybody had a lot of fun. Yes, you can buy guns. Yes, you can buy ammo. Yes, all local and federal and state applicable laws
apply.
So there you go, man. I didn't mean to take us off on a...
Well, I'm going to take off even further. I have a quick mention. Just here, I'd like to thank Mike White for the Super Chat donation on YouTube feed.
Thank you, Mike
Watching
White.
live on YouTube.
Awesome job.
So I got a gun question.
Go for it.
My wife wants a pellet gun. Does she need a license?
No. Just to get a pellet gun?
Yeah, what's a rifle?
No.
There are some rats in our backyard.
Really?
Days are numbered. They're eating our chicken food.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're going to shoot Pendleton? She's going to shoot. Is she going to do it, or are you going to do it?
No, she's going to shoot.
Can I come over? I got to come over.
I'm going to get her to. I got to get her to practice. So she doesn't.
I'm surprised she doesn't start breeding them.
No, she hates. She said they make fun of her.
Oh,
because they sit up on the fence and they giggle and laugh at her because they know she thinks she can't do nothing.
That's horrible.
So we sent a Rottweiler out there, and he literally destroyed all the plumbing for the chickens and tore the fence half down.
Yeah,
and they still laughed at her. So I just didn't know. So you guys will have to tell me the best pellet rifle to get. I think a rifle.
We'll talk about it. Jim,
wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be better than a pistol?
Yeah.
Yes. For shooting rats?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's some fun things out there we can talk about.
Okay, well, I've got my bug gun. I'm so good killing flies, I can kill them in the air now.
Your assault gun?
My assault gun. Thanks to Rich. He was nice enough to give it to me. Nice. All right. Hey, folks, if you ever have legal matters, that involve firearms, you need California's best firearms lawyer, and that means John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, so put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150. That's put his number on your phone right this very minute. You remember the movie or the show Seinfeld?
Yeah.
And what's the girl that whenever she would dance?
Dreyfus. Julia Louise Dreyfus.
She could be in this.
Elaine.
Elaine, yeah.
She could be in the Olympics.
Yeah, no kidding.
The way she dances, she would be a winner.
I know. Look what I could do. Gosh, it was so horrible.
Well,
we're still
Alicia
talking about
just
it.
showed me a picture of a video, and that girl had. And what did you say? Australia's defending her,
Yeah. Well,
but she didn't medal.
no.
Jeez. All right. So, Jim Belanger, how you doing, man?
Good, Michael.
Instructor
Down here having fun?
Instructor extraordinaire from the Inland Empire.
Yeah.
You're too kind.
How's it going, man? It's good to see you. Thanks for
Going
coming
great.
back to the show.
Yeah. What brings you down?
Just to see you guys.
Not hot enough
No,
in your neck of the woods?
He had a breakdancing competition.
Oh, that's right. Well, didn't he train that girl from Australia?
I had
So-
to get out of town.
So let's talk about let's answer Dave's question, and then let's do a little bit more gun talk. So his wife wants to get a pellet gun to shoot rats. What do you know? What do you know?
Well, I know that if you're shooting a pellet gun at a rat and you hit them and it goes through them, it breaks the skin and you have a mess on your hands.
Yeah.
Ugh.
A real mess on your hands. And if you shoot 2 or 3 of them, it gets even messier.
Yeah.
So the Bynra gun that I was telling you about, the bigger one, will do 50 yards, and it's a kinetic ball. And literally knock them out. And then now you don't have the problem of
Oh, it just knocks him.
just
You have
knocking
to, what? But you can hit him pretty much anywhere on the body, and it would knock him out.
It's going to hurt them, yeah. It's going to.
All right. You have a red dot for it?
No, I don't.
Wouldn't it be fun to have a red dot?
A red dot on a burner, yeah.
She loves her red because she uses the
What?
fly the gun.
Assault gun has
A red dot.
I didn't know that,
Dude, that thing is so cool.
It's like the advanced version.
Yeah, I know it is, and yeah, I mean it's got a red dot on it, man. And that's how I'm getting him in the air. She gets.
So
him
you're
in
gonna get a Byrna, and she's gonna shoot rats with it in your backyard.
Yeah.
I'm not coming over for that.
Well, don't look like a rat.
That sounds.
Yeah. So I mean, and so
what are you gonna do with it? So you have an unconscious rat now. What do you do with it?
Well, she'll have no problem with that.
So like what
She'll
is
go
she-
pick it up and drown it. She's very. You wouldn't know it to look at her. So I try to stay on her good side.
She has to be married.
But she hates it that they're eating all of her chicken feed.
Yeah. Well, rats are San
Well,
Diego
it's food.
is-
I mean, they're gonna. Where else are they gonna go? What's the cost factor on one of these?
They're about $420 for the big one.
Okay.
And
what's a Byrna intended to do?
Pepperball.
It's intended to be non-lethal. So
Okay.
again, when we get involved in a criminal situation, if the bullet or whatever breaks the skin, that's an officer-involved shooting. And so this doesn't break the skin. And
Does it hurt?
Oh yeah, it really hurts. Yeah.
And so it looks to me like it looks like a little. It looks about the same size as I'm going to say like a Glock 19, kind of standard size, maybe a little smaller.
No, it's actually a little bigger and bulkier.
Is it?
in the-
Okay.
In the orange, I'll bring it down.
Yeah.
But people do people carry that for self defense, or is it mainly just for cops?
No, a lot of times they'll carry this. Like in Argentina, when this came out, none of their police carry guns. They ordered 10,000 of these.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's kind of important for them, and they use them a lot in prisons down there as well.
What about recoil?
And there's none. It's a same CO2 as you would in a paintball.
Oh, so it's CO2 powered. Okay.
Yeah, just go poof, just like that. Yeah.
So would you recommend a civilian having this at all in any situation, or you know what I mean?
Well, I do training for them, so I got to be careful.
Okay.
I don't think you want someone breaking in your home and you pointing this at them, and they have a real gun. I think you're in a big
You're in a
got
real
big
trouble.
problem.
So it's a very specific use.
Very specific, yeah. And again, you can stand somebody down anytime. You know, what we know most about guns is that if you just pull the gun, nothing's said, it's going to stop 90% of everything.
Right. You
So-
don't sit there and say, "Excuse me, I have a 2024 burner gun, and it's going to do. You don't.
Yeah,
do
you don't
that.
say all that stuff,
No.
but you just get it out there and say, "Now we'll talk."
Yeah.
That I'm standing like this, and now I want your opinion.
Right. And
At least 90%. I mean, that's not an exaggeration.
No.
If anything,
No, it's
that's
not at all.
under. It's at least 90%.
Yes.
Like if you do the math, I think there's only a couple thousand actual. I'd have to kind of do the math, but I know there's just a couple of thousand of people who die from a defensive gun use a year. But then I don't know how many people are shot and don't die. But I know that the vast majority of people. So there's like a 1 to 3 million defensive gun uses per year, depending on how you define it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what percentage. But it's even less than 1%. I mean, it's very, very few. I mean, most of the time when you in a defensive gun use, the presence of a firearm is all that's required.
Stops everything. And that's what we want to teach people is we don't want them to pull the trigger. It changes your life forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you can get it out there, like I say, we talk about 417, brandishing your gun. That's self-defense. This is brandishing your gun. I'm moving my hand.
really?
Yeah.
just a matter of
But
putting it up.
standing out here, that's self-defense. 417 says that's okay.
So, like, if you move your jacket back and just kind of flash your gun,
That's brandishing.
that's brandishing.
Yeah.
But if you're pointing in,
Interesting.
But again, when you point your gun at them like this, that changes their whole theory. In their head, they're like, well, wait a minute, you pulled a gun on me. Yes.
And I'm going to shoot you.
So what do you want to do now? I mean, we all think, and this is what we, in the instructor world, we're going to stand here like Marshall Dillon and draw
course.
with them. No. Hi, let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk.
I really want your opinion.
Tell me if this hurts.
so we were talking before we came up, and you have a goal for retirement.
I do.
Talk about that goal.
Well, I just turned 70 a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And thanks. I
happy
can't believe I made it.
Tell me about it.
By the way, Jim, honestly, wouldn't have guessed. Would not have guessed that you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
Doing a great job.
See, now I got to like him again.
I know. It's tough. It's really tough, let me tell you.
When I set out to do this, and I take a little bit of heat of this because I'm a training counselor for both the USCCA and the NRA. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the NRA, they said, why do you want to be a training counselor? I said, well, you don't exist in California. You just fog a mirror, pay it, and then we give you a instructor cert, and I want to change that. Mm-hmm. And he's like, really? And I go, yeah, I really do. I want instructors to be good.
Yeah.
And I want them to be able to shoot. So, I have my own qualifications. But I set out to say I want to train 500 instructors, and I'm going to retire. And
500 instructors.
500
How many are you up
instructors.
to?
222. Now, what we're trying to figure out is I've done, I think, 30 of them, like 3 or 4 certifications. Yeah. So I might be too high yet.
What number was I?
Yeah, you're in a good spot. You're a good spot. The class that I had with those guys was fantastic. We did things, and they all kind of looked at me like I had a third head. They were like, "What did he just say?" Because we talked a lot about business, things like that. So we've got to do a better job of getting people involved in our industry, and we've got to create a situation where they can be comfortable. Because the people we're getting today, 10 years ago, didn't want a gun. They were afraid of guns. Sure. And they said nobody needs a gun. Now they've lived through this world that we live in where we have a guy beat up a woman in the Olympics, and we call that sport.
Yeah.
And of course, the BLM riots,
that
COVID.
That's breakdancing.
Is that
yes.
that breakdance?
It's a whole different.
Yeah, whole different. But we look at all those things, and so they come to us, and they're like really afraid. They know nothing about guns. They don't have a parent that was ever there that helped them, gave them any kind of a background or anything to understand what a gun would do. And they literally come in there fearful of a gun, not knowing what a gun is. And so we have to be a little bit, they'll say to you, hey, don't take any pictures. I can't let my friends see this. Well, they're not your friends,
Yeah.
So we go back in it and said, how do we train those? Well, the way to train those is to get more instructors. And what we have, don't get mad at me, you guys, but we have this good old boy network that there's these guys out there think they're the only people that can shoot. Okay. And if you went out deer hunting season, there were 14.6 million deer hunters, no mass shooting. So there's more than just the instructors out there that know how to shoot.
Right.
And they think they're the only ones that can teach. And I set out to say, no, let's go get 500 instructors and fix Southern California. Right. And so that was my goal. That's what I set out to do.
And you're not having any pushback from the state of California?
No, not well. Just took me a long time to get my DOJ CCW instructor for cert.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it
just
took me
the
6
usual,
months.
the usual pushback.
The usual
Yeah.
pushback. But again,
But you're so right in what you said, not to interrupt, but
Okay.
the lady that was on my show, and he knows and she knows I do this. Anytime she races super bikes, okay? And I said, you really need to, check into, not me, SD, yada, yada. She goes, oh, no. She says, I shoot. She says, we're from Mississippi. But she was so hesitant to tell me that she shoots. And then, of course, I told her what the program was, and she was very intrigued. But the automatic first reaction is they don't want to tell you.
exactly.
And again, it's all that. Not only probably is it fear, but it's fear of people giving you a hard time about it or coming down on you.
And as we go back through and look at that, what is there, 8 million gun owners in in California? All we got to do is vote together and we'd be fine. Instead, we're running around arguing over who the best instructor is, and it's really not that difficult.
No, it really is.
Isn't, okay? So when these people can get the upbringing, I tell the instructors, hey, you got to change your whole way. You got to, one time on the USCCA, they came out with a women's handgun training thing. And the gal, she asked, she says, hey, would you take the course? I'm like, I trained thousands of women. And then I took her course and I had to call back and apologize to her and say, thanks, I learned a ton. I was starting off way too high. I didn't start off where I needed to. I did not understand the level that I needed to be at. And I became a much more effective instructor, to the point if you go out in my truck down there in the parking lot, there's a purse because I can teach drawing from a purse, because I think that's where we miss a lot, especially with women.
I'll tell you too, just the upper body strength of a man versus a woman is totally different. The way as a woman that you manipulate a firearm it can be very different. And if you're a man that's just strong, you don't understand what the problem is. And there's just an ergonomic way to arrange things differently for a woman that make it easier.
Well, and that's what's good about an instructor that can move and adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
Instead of being hardcore and saying, I'm doing it this way, and that's the only way I'm going to do it.
I talked to a group of people. They do CERT training, self-defense training, no firearms at all, and they want to send their CCW people to our company. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I said, we'll make that work out. But they all use certs, and no one graduates till they come to my school.
When we get back, I want to talk about like what mistakes or what isn't being done, or what mistakes do you see most often. What makes a good instructor is maybe what I'm asking.
Sure.
I come get you, Brendan.
I know. First I go to the restroom and then I go to get water. It's not my day.
I guess you could say he's in and out.
Yeah. Hey, why should people go to gun prom? If you're tired of the 11% gun and ammo tax, if you're mad about red flag laws destroying due process, or maybe if you think it's unfair for law-abiding CCWs to be treated like criminals to defend themselves, well, then maybe you need to go to the gun prom. Gun prom is the ounce of prevention in the fight for self-defense rights. Lawsuits are important, but they take millions of dollars and 10 years to undo. Blatant infringements of the Second Amendment. Joining us on our Second Amendment night helps get more Pro-2 officials elected on the city and county levels.
All right. Go to gun prom. Gunprom.com.
I'm not done.
Yeah, this is who wrote this? This is like way too long.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
It's
keep
when
going.
you support. Have the one I like doing the most, and you're trying to cut me off.
I'm sorry.
All right, just go to gun prom. Go to gunprom.com, and come say hi to Mike.
Well, now I want to see how it ends.
I'm not doing it. You have to hire me back.
Okay, so Jim, let's talk about some of the. You were saying that you wanted to really up the game on instructors. You want instructors to really be engaged, and you wanted to bring the level up. Talk about what does it mean? Like when you see a good instructor, what are you looking at?
First thing I'm looking for is their interaction with the people that are coming in, and that they can identify with the people. So a lot of times what we teach is when you're teaching someone, you want to be close enough to them that they're safe on the range.
Yeah.
But you also want to be close enough that your head kind of melds together with them and you can safely take a gun away from them and things like that. They build off your strength. And so you're looking for guys that can understand what they're giving the student as opposed to just a lesson with a gun. We see a lot of guys that go, oh, look, and I'm an NRA pistol instructor, and I'm a shotgun. Oh, that's it. That's all I need. And they don't take any other training, zero training. And the biggest part that I see and want to see in trainers is keep training, keep going on. Like I'm an NRA training counselor. I'm going to sit the class again in October. Now I got to fly all the way to, I don't know, somewhere else out of Washington, right? Spend the money, do everything just to sit in the class and learn, just to become better. I want to take it. And the gentleman that is with the NRA, our director of training, Marty, I have so much confidence and faith in him.
Good.
He changed my whole feeling of the NRA.
Good.
It was the best. He took the training from 2.5 days to 5 days. We never came off the range for 2.5 days. We shot our lights out.
So what's the most important lesson you learned about being an instructor?
Boy, that's a great question.
Yeah, I'm good at this.
I see.
I'm
Yeah,
really
you
good at
are.
this.
You've done this before. Again, what I tell the instructors that I train is we can get all kinds of students, but we need clients. And we need
What's
to be
the difference?
Oh, the huge difference. That the student, he just walks in and says, hey, I want to learn about a gun. And they think they're going to take one lesson. And most of the time, the people that take one lesson, that's all they ever take. They get a CCW and their renewal is in 2 years and they don't even shoot the gun. That's a huge disaster point. So we've got to be able to get them more involved. If you just take 2 classes, any kind of training in the gun, you'll be in the top 1% of trained gun owners in the world. So there's not a lot of training out there.
How do you know? Like when you see someone who hasn't had training, what's a tip off? You know what I mean? Like when you see someone, you're like, that person hasn't taken a class. Like what's the most common?
Well, the most common thing is them sitting on their heels. They literally lean back like this and try to get. I lean back. Sorry. Yeah, they just lean back. They don't have any balance. They don't understand what it is to drive a firearm. They're there to let the firearm drive them all day long. And if you don't know how to hold it, then you're never going to get it right. You're going to be making mistakes all over the place.
I don't think they even realize they look scared of the gun. They're holding the gun like it's made of porcelain and might break.
Well, it is an explosion 2 feet from your nose, so that's not natural. But again, we have to teach them how to overcome that and understand it, and then not be afraid of it. And again, when I used to teach skiing when I was younger, and it didn't matter how many stem Christies or snowplows you did, ski. And
I don't know what I recognize those words as being English, but I have no idea what you just said. Is that like a
so they want to spend more time?
I guarantee you, most of the San Diegans out there listening don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. See, I'm from Wisconsin. So
hey, me too.
Yeah,
where are you from?
I was born in Rhinelander.
I was born in Woodruff.
No kidding.
In Oneida County. Yeah.
Holy moly.
Wow, that's hilarious.
That's frightening.
Yeah. My dad was born in Minocqua.
No kidding.
Yeah. How about that? Anyway, we'll talk.
We'll talk about that later. Now this totally blowing my mind. When we're looking at instructors and people, we've got to find.
I knew I liked you, Jim. I knew there was a reason.
Not my long hair.
Anyway,
it's important when we work with people with firearms. They're mostly afraid. And again, the thing we're going to talk about in the lead thing tomorrow night is it's all about mindset. And if I go into a situation and I'm standing on a range with someone, the most important thing is that safety that's involved, and it's about how many times they press that trigger and a bullet comes out of the gun. That's the experience they have to have. And we can give that to them on the range. If we just stand there on the range and talk, we're not doing them any good.
So where are you on guns? What do you carry? First off, what's your everyday carry?
My everyday carry right now is a Glock 34 with a red dot on it.
Wow.
Glock 34.
Wow.
Which one? 34.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest. That's the bigger frame.
That's like the competition one.
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh. Now, why do you carry that? I would think that's a little unusual. Not.
It is very unusual. Yeah, when I went to TC school last year, I have arthritis because I'm kind of old. See that bent finger? And it was all bent up, so I put the red dot on there. And then when you're a member of the USCCA and you go through one of their training films, they drop your name in a hat every time you do a training film. So July of last year, I won a Sig Sauer 229 Elite.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow. So when biggest mistake instructors make is they tell people what good guns are and bad guns are. And so, I said, okay, mine is the best gun because it was free. And then
yeah, really.
If you decide you don't like it, I'd be happy to help you out.
You would help me with that?
I'd help you.
So a really good instructor that I taught, he shoots a lot of 365s and stuff, right? And he goes, Jim, I'm going to give you my 229. And I go, what do you mean give it to me? He goes, well, I put all this money in the trigger and all these magazines and stuff. And I said, well, I'll give you money for it. He goes, no, I'm not going to get anything for trading. I did it stupid. I think he put in $812 into a trigger. I can't even imagine what that's like. I'm not a gun nut like that, okay? And so we did the trade, and so it came off of my CCW. I just have to put it back on.
Is that what you were? What else have you carried?
During COVID, I carried an MP Shield because that's all my students could get.
Shields, I swear, man, Smith & Wesson
makes a killing in California.
If I were Smith & Wesson, I would do everything I possibly could to keep the roster in place. I mean, they have benefited greatly.
They benefited greatly.
I'm sure they would give up profits to get rid of that roster. I'm of course joking, but oh my gosh, everybody, and it's a good gun. There's, I know some people have some problems with it, but nothing's perfect.
We can all have problems with everything. They say when you're in a gunfight, I'm going to take your gun from you, and I'll figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let some gun lay around. But people, we gotta understand. We got to get over this thing that I don't think I understand. So we talked about a gentleman named T.J. Johnson.
That guy's great.
He's the greatest guy in the world. But when you take his NRA pistol class, he has a big desk like this, and he takes this bag of guns like this with all these pistols, and they're all in a case. And he goes, pick one. And you go, what? He goes, pick one, and you explain it to the class.
Oh, wow.
Now, I know there's 2 pirate guns in there, and I don't want to explain a pirate gun to anybody. So there's pressure on you all the time, right? Yeah. But he is a great instructor, and he's, my hat's off to the guy. I love him. So
yeah, he is really good dude. So what made you, what's a big mistake that you see CCW? Because you're right. We make mountains out of molehills. We argue over the difference between 9mm and .45. And there's no difference between 9mm. You know what I mean? There's a difference. One's faster and a little bit smaller. One's bigger and a little bit slower. But I mean, what are we doing? What are we arguing over there? But what do you think is something that people do incorrectly? Truly incorrectly. Not like, this is preference. Like the difference between Weaver and isosceles is preference. Both are safe. You're not going to hurt yourself doing. You know what I mean? But like, what's something that you're like, no, you know what? This is something that's being taught that's wrong, and it needs to be done this way.
Man, great question. I mean, just a great question.
Controversial too.
It is controversial, but let me tell you, we talk about the ABCs with the NRA: aiming, breathing, triggering, and hold control. And I'm going to tell you something. When somebody runs up on you, I don't think you're going to figure out how you're going to breathe and shoot. I think you're going to be shooting and running and moving, right? I don't think you're going to be standing isosceles or anything. I think you're going to be running till you trip and fall, and then you'll learn to shoot from the ground. That's a bad time to learn those things. So what I see people doing, biggest mistake is standing on a range and just standing there and firing into cardboard and thinking that they learned how to shoot.
Wow.
You will never, ever stand still in a gunfight. So why would you ever act like that? Because you're going to react how you trained. And we see people freeze all the time.
So how do you train? Do you just movement, or like what do you do to train?
It's all movement. Like I'm blessed. I'm at Rahagi's, and they let me. I put chairs down. We practice. Hey, you're in a restaurant. This guy just walked in. He put a knife in this lady's neck. What are you going to do? How are you going to tell your family they're going to move and go in this direction? What are your code words? How are you going to come out, feel them where they're at? And then you're going to have to shoot them one-handed. I can't shoot one-handed. And then we practice left-handed. And guys will be 52 years old and say, I never shot a gun left-handed once in my life.
Right.
And I'm like, you're not trained.
Been shooting for 30 years.
And the same old nonsense all the time. You and I get in a gunfight and we're in a situation. And again, remember the progress that we got to make. It's got to go from a rifle or from a pistol to a shotgun to a rifle. And then to something long distance. So you can really reach out and touch someone at 800 yards and they can guess where the next bullet's coming from. But none of us stand at 300, 400 yards and go bang, 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 bang and give away our position. It's through attrition that we win things, especially with the rifle.
Hey, if you want gear at an affordable price, check out Condor Outdoor. Whether you're a military professional and a law enforcement officer or simply an avid outdoorsman, Condor products are designed to be versatile, durable, and above all, reliable. So if you're looking for the best in tactical gear, look no further than Condor Outdoor. Use code GOR for a 15% discount off the website, condoroutdoor.com. Use code GOR for 15% discount.
All right, we're going to do some Q&A. The first one is, Brendan's got a clip that I'm going to get him to play in just a second because I keep getting this question. Via email, text, phone, conversation, everybody wants to know where gun owners stands on Trump. And we've talked about it a little bit, but San Diego County gun owners, Inland Empire gun owners, and Orange County gun owners, they do not endorse on the federal level. In fact, we really can't endorse on the federal level. The way we're set up, we can really only endorse on local and county and state, which all voter guides will reflect that. But we are unable to endorse on the federal level. But this is Gun Owners Radio. So those are the 3 packs, but this is Gun Owners Radio. So we're allowed to talk a little bit more freely, I guess is maybe the way to put it. So I wanted Brendan to play a clip here on Trump talking about the Second Amendment. And honestly, I don't even think we need to endorse. I think you can hear this and make your own assessment. This was just a few days ago, Trump talking about the Second Amendment. Can you play that, Brendan?
If you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, you can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they want, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. On July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago. You know that. They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that.
So, in his first 4 years, in his first term, we found out that he carries, he owns, his kids especially were very supportive. He went to the NRA convention, I think every year, and talked about how important the Second Amendment was. I think the big issue was what he did with bump stocks. And that was, FPC took that straight to the federal or to the Supreme Court, and that was the Trump administration that outlawed bump stocks or tried to, and that's a problem. But I do think that this statement is a deeper, more fundamental reflection of the Second Amendment and the understanding of the Second Amendment being self-defense than we've ever seen from Trump. I also always appreciated the fact that, if there was something that hit the news, some kind of horrible crime or whatever, with Obama, with Biden, we always had to worry about them coming out and blaming guns and calling for another ban. And with Trump, we didn't have to worry about that. So I wanted to play that. I think you can make your own decision. I think, Kamala Harris has said that she wants to use an executive order to take semi-automatic long guns away from you, aka assault weapons ban, which is not only anti-Second Amendment, it's just completely unconstitutional. Like, you just can't do that, especially from the executive branch. Her vice president is kind of one of these hunter guys who, like, hey, it's okay to have a bolt-action hunting rifle, but everything else we need to ban and get rid of. So I think the choice is pretty clear. Okay, one of the other questions was and I'm getting this kind of fairly often because people are leaving San Diego. Some are leaving San Diego and going to different counties. Some are leaving San Diego and going to different states. But they wanted to know, when they leave, what do you do with your CCW, your San Diego CCW? How do you give that up? And so I contacted licensing, and they said that all you do is send it in. You just mail it right in. There's no special nothing that you have to do. You just mail it to them, and that's it. In San Bernardino, we were talking about this. In San Bernardino, I had someone who moved there, and they were getting a CCW. And San Bernardino had a lot of language that basically amounted to, we're not going to issue a CCW for work purposes. And that is so vague. And this guy was a bodyguard, basically, is what he did. And he said, well, of course I'm going to use it for work. So can I not get a CCW? Like, how does this, how does this work? So I worked my way up the chain, starting with, a clerk at licensing, and then got all the way up to the command staff. And what was told to me, just verbatim, was if they apply and say that the only reason they're getting the CCW is in order to obtain a job that requires it, and that's the only reason they're getting it, then they'll get denied. Otherwise, they'll get accepted and everything's good to go. They can carry when they're working. They can carry when they're not working. That was the definitive answer, but that wasn't the only answer I got, but that was the definitive answer. And since we got that answer, and I pointed out to the sheriff, who's great. Sheriff Dykus is great up there, but we pointed it out. I sent an email pointing it out to the sheriff, and the feedback I've gotten since is that language has disappeared from a lot of their literature. So I don't even think you have to worry about it anymore.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
Was this before or after Bruin?
So that was
how do they know?
I know that was part of my. There's like a little question. There's like a little supplementary questionnaire.
Okay.
That was part of my inquiry. When I talked to the clerk, I said, "Hey, I think this is just left over from pre-Bruin when you needed good cause." And they're, "Oh no, this is how it works, whatever." And I'm like, this isn't making any sense. So I escalated it. Finally got a hold of the command staff. And anyway, I think the feedback I'm getting now is that it's completely disappeared. So I don't think they're even asking the question anymore.
I didn't think they were allowed to.
Yeah, and I think they're allowed to ask, right? They're allowed to ask anything they want. But I don't think that their process, that little piece of their process, had caught up to Bruin. And I think you're absolutely right. It was left over from Bruin. And that was the point I made. I was like, hey, this seems like it's totally over. Anyway, looks like it's not even an issue anymore. So San Bernardino, send in feedback if you see otherwise. So
That's amazing.
yeah, what do you think of that?
Excellent. Nice homework. How'd you get that high?
Kept calling, kept whining, kept crying and whining and saying that doesn't make any sense.
Because it's not that easy to get that high up, is it?
No, but yeah, it wasn't. But if you remain
polite,
you remain professional and polite and persistent, eventually, you get to where you need to be. Plus, he knows, the sheriff knows our organization, Inland Empire Gun Owners. We'd met before.
And that's how you represented yourself with San Diego County Gun Owners?
Inland Empire Gun Owners.
Or Inland Empire Gun Owners.
So, yeah. So, but, there are a bunch of little things that these packs do. The number one thing that we do is the voter guide. And the voter guide is out for San Diego. It's coming with Inland Empire. It's coming with Orange County. So thanks for your patience. It'll be there soon. That's the number one thing. That's the reason we exist, is to get the right people elected. Mm-hmm. But there are a number of things we do along the way that I don't promote enough. I don't talk about enough. But like these little, which is why we started this Q&A thing, because I get emails, texts all the time. People asking questions, and I'm realizing, I'm not talking about this stuff. Like the guy that we helped, who was in a defensive gun use and got his the red flag law used against them, and we helped him. These little things along the way that we help with, I don't think get enough coverage. But the ability to kind of point that out and go, hey, you know what, that doesn't make any sense. I think it's left over from pre-Bruin. I think it needs to be updated. That stuff is kind of an added benefit. The engaging with media. That's an added benefit of some of the stuff we do that helps change the culture and helps people along. Anyway, do check out our voter guide, SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com/voter guide or stcgo.org/voter guide. Yes, ma'am. Quick
question for you coming out of the chat.
Oh, go for it.
All right, is that they're asking, what did you do yesterday for the 40th anniversary of Red Dawn?
I had a moment of silence, and just
run around the backyard,
observed it. Observed it quietly in the piece of.
You didn't rewatch it?
My soul is no. I have it pretty much memorized. There's no need to watch. Actually, I did on the big screen. I learned something. Did I tell you that?
We did. We talked about
that.
Yep.
First time I'd ever seen the scene before the two brothers go off and die. They set this whole big, they set the whole town on fire and die. The scene before that, he was writing his own name on that rock where they all wrote the names of the victims, I'd never noticed that because I'd always watched it on a little tiny screen, and I'd never noticed he was writing his own name. I thought he was writing like one of his friends, like Jennifer Grey's name, her character or something like that, but I realized he was writing his own name. Foreshadowing.
Did it move you?
I was a little moved. I always get a little moved when I read Dawn. It's best movie ever. Best movie ever made. Best documentary about World War III ever created.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so that's our Q&A. If you have questions, people seem to find a way to ask, but info@stcgo.org. Text me, email me, let me know. One question I'm working on. I don't even know. I'm working on. I'll tell you. There's a lot. I'm getting a lot of answers on. Does a California CCW work on a reservation, on a native reservation? I'm getting a bunch of different answers. So I'm working with the sheriff of San Diego, and she said, you know what, that is worth some attention. And I'm hoping within the next couple weeks, I'm going to have an answer on letterhead from a person who got the definitive real answer, and I'll let you know.
Self-defense happens in seconds. And in the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot self-defense. But if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists. Because every responsible armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. Get signed up with a friend, Adam Bendis. Give him a call today, 619-318-6803. Signing up is super easy. Get the education, protection you need. Enjoy the peace of mind if you are ever in a self-defense incident. Call Adam now, 619-318-6803.
Can you be a responsible American and not be armed? I think, you know what I mean? Like, this is responsible.
That's a good question.
I know. I don't. How irresponsible is it to walk around unarmed?
It could be.
I had a friend once say he wasn't big on guns, and he said that walking around with a gun, he said it was just you just never need it. He said it's like walking around with a fire extinguisher. So I pointed to the back of the Jeep at my fire extinguisher. Yeah, exactly right. Subscribe and win. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. So you go to gunownersradio.com, subscribe to our email list, and you might win some cool stuff. This week's winner is Lance Richardson. Congratulations, Lance. Email us at prizes@gunownersradio.com to claim your T-shirt or your hat. And be sure if you want a T-shirt, let us know what size.
We got a question.
Somebody in the chat had a question. They want to know what's going on with mags. So there are a bunch of lawsuits. There's an assault weapons ban lawsuit. There's a lawsuit to get rid of the waiting period for people who have guns already. If you already have a gun, why are you going through a waiting period? Does that make any sense? There's the lawsuit to reinstate your ability, to make sure that adults who are 18, 19, and 20 can purchase handguns. Right now, an adult who should have all the rights of an adult in America cannot purchase a handgun in California. You can't purchase any gun in California. Thanks to a recent law. So there's that one. There's a bunch. There's the roster. The Rena case is the roster. There are a bunch of cases, and the normal capacity magazine lawsuit is making its way, just like all of them are making their way through the court system. They were waiting for a couple of different lawsuits to be decided by the Supreme Court, and they have been decided, so now everything's moving forward. You have to remember, like I've said a million times, it takes 10 years and $1 million to win a lawsuit when it comes to the Second Amendment. If you get away with 8 years and $500,000, then man, have you scored. But I tell you, it takes a long time and it takes a lot of money. But specifically, what's going on with magazines? Well, you cannot purchase a magazine. You cannot sell a magazine within You can't purchase a normal capacity magazine over 10 rounds in California. You cannot sell a normal capacity magazine over 10 rounds in California legally. You can possess it, meaning you can own it. You can use it in your carry gun. You can go to the range with it, but you can't give it as a gift, and you can't take it as a gift. Now, there's a lot of gray area as to whether or not you're allowed to take it out of state and then bring it back into state, or buy a normal capacity magazine out of state and then bring it back in. So the safe bet would be to say, don't do that. It hasn't been tested in court. There are attorneys that say they don't know. It hasn't been tested yet, and it's not crystal clear as to what the definition of import is. But right now, you can possess it. If you own one and are using it legally, you're good to go if you have a magazine over 10 rounds. Now, again, I'm not an attorney. That's not legal advice. Make sure that you consult with a fully licensed attorney before you make any legal decisions. But that is my understanding of what's going on. So thanks for the question. Lead Talks. So we're doing something cool every Monday night. I looked at my calendar and realized that I have a couple hours on my calendar that isn't full. So I wanted to fill it. And I don't do, idle hands, devil's playground, right, Dave? So Monday night, 7 p.m., every Monday night at 7 p.m. on all our social media, Facebook, YouTube, and X, we interview an instructor. And tomorrow night is our buddy Jim. You're going to be on Lead Talks, right?
My turn.
Yeah. And what's your subject? What are you going to talk about tomorrow at 7?
We're going to talk about mindset and being in a defensive situation. We all come into non-lethal situations or lethal situations, and we're going to talk about what your mindset should be when you're training.
Good. And this is, I got to tell you, this is just pure information. There's no bells or whistles. I do a quick introduction at 7 p.m., and then you got the floor, and you talk for as long as you want, and then we take a few questions, and that's it. I mean, it's just raw info, and I think it's a really good way to introduce people to you, to introduce people to other instructors, and get the juices flowing, get some people training, which is the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, I agree. I thought the guys that have done it already did a good job. I've listened to both of them. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's been some good info. San Diego Escondido Gun Show, September 7th and 8th. It's in Escondido, here in the beautiful county of San Diego. Guns are going to be for sale. It's September 7th and 8th. That's Saturday and a Sunday. We're going to have a gun owners symposium. Speakers will include USCCA. Thank you to Adam Bendis and Travis Frazier for your continued support. Raul Mendez will be at the symposium talking about his fight against a mass shooter after getting shot in the head. Did you see that? You know who we're talking about? In Arizona, there was a guy. He got shot. He got shot in the head. They were having a big party.
Yeah.
Got shot in the head. Some guy came in, shot him in the head, and he fought back and took this guy out. Now he's an NRA instructor and is going around and preaching the gospel at CCW.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was at Gun Prom, and he's such a normal, good dude. You know what I mean? I really liked the fact, I don't know how this is going to sound. Don't really care. I really liked the fact that he wasn't like a U.S. Army Ranger, Green Beret, SEAL, Recon, whatever. You know what I mean? Right. He was just some normal guy.
He was a dad.
He was a dad.
Yep.
And didn't really, I think he even said, I don't think he's shy about saying he didn't really have that much training.
Right.
He was just a normal guy, but that gun saved lives. He was truly, by every definition, the equalizer. It was the difference between life and death for him.
I think he's like the type of person that Jim was talking about earlier. Someone who does the qual, gets their permit, and really doesn't do anything with it, and doesn't further train or shoot. And that kind of, when we had him on, he kind of indicated that he really hadn't put that much time and effort into working until he realized after the fact that he should have been.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say.
Now he's changing it.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
So don't wait to get shot in the head to take some more training.
Right.
There, that shouldn't be what it takes to
right.
take some training. But anyway, such a good guy. I'm so glad that we're going to have Raul out. I just absolutely think the world of him. He's doing such a good job. So come on out and meet him. Kids Safe Foundation will be at the gun show. They're going to have their BB gun range, which teaches kids about gun safety. So you and your kids, your neighbors' kids, tell everybody that you know, if they're new to guns or they haven't had any training yet as kids, have them come down to the gun show, and there is something just for them. Kids Safe Foundation, that's their whole goal, is to teach kids gun safety. So they're going to make sure that these kids learn and are safe. Plus, meet your endorsed officials. So our voter guide is full of endorsed folks. City council, school board, county board of supervisors. A number of them are going to be at the San Diego County Gun Owners table. They're going to have shifts where you get to come and meet your endorsed candidates. So come on down. We so much focus on the White House and Congress, so sometimes you forget that, hey, the guy down the street who's your mayor, who's your city council member, that person makes huge decisions about your life every day, and you don't always get to meet them. So come on down. So get your tickets now. Go to gunownersradio.com/gunshow and come on down and see us September 7th and 8th in Escondido at the San Diego Gun Show.
Not Me is for women by women and is designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. And if you are a woman or you know a woman who needs help, have her sign up and we'll give her all the help she needs. To sign up, just go to notmesd.org.
You want me to introduce?
Sure, you can.
All right, cool.
If I do, I'll have to buy him a beer.
Our next guest is, he's been on the show before, and I don't know if he remembers this, but he was actually a guest speaker way back at the beginning of San Diego County Gun Owners when we took over a movie theater and showed you remember the Benghazi movie? Mm-hmm. And had him as a special guest talk about what he knew and his impressions of everything. And he did a great job. So without further ado, Mr. Scott McEwen, how are you, sir?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm great.
So start talking.
So what are your thoughts? I know one of the topics we wanted to talk about was some of your impressions and thoughts on the assassination attempt of Trump. What are your thoughts on that?
It becomes more and more deeply distressing as we move through the investigation that's going on, which is obviously delayed and they've made it like not part of the news space, if you will, for the last few weeks, but absolutely unbelievably incompetent at best. But I will say this. I think it's gone beyond incompetence to the point of intentional, exposure of Donald Trump to be killed. And people say, I've heard people that say you can't go there, you can't say that. Look, there comes a point in time when, not unlike what we have with that Rush movie or whatever else, when you become so incompetent that you have caused the death of another person or almost caused that death, that I think we're at that right now. These guys are completely inept at best, and I think that it's gone beyond that.
Well, it's a big claim, Scott. You know what I mean? It's a huge accusation.
And I don't go there lightly.
So and basically what you're saying is the incompetence. It was such a deep and high level of incompetence that the idea that it was intentional is no longer outlandish. Is that kind of what you were saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because you know what? There was so much stupidity. Absolute stupidity that went on, and even the local cops, which I back my local LEOs. I back my LEOs. Period. Even the guys in the Secret Service. I back them too. But these whole DEI hires and this rest of this crap show that we've seen, and I say that because we're on radio. That has gone on. It's gone so bad that you have to say, look. When does it rise to the level of you have intentionally exposed a former president, possibly, hopefully, to be the future president? And I say that being biased, I'll tell you my bias. I want Trump to be president. That being said, to death, that you are so incompetent that you need to be prosecuted for your incompetence.
Well, let's talk about your background too.
That's where Alec Baldwin is right now.
Yeah, let's talk about your background too. So, talk about some of the books that you've written and co-written.
I wrote American Sniper with Chris Kyle, and I shot with Chris Kyle before I ever I'm a shooter. Okay, I'm pretty good with 300 Win Mag. I'm competent out to 1,000 yards with big game. Chris was competent out to 2,000 yards with human game. That's where we became kindred souls. So we both love the 300 Win Mag, and I can tell you velocity, foot pounds, whatever, delivery, that's our weapon. And so that's kind of where Chris and I became friends, and I wrote American Sniper with Chris Kyle. I have 10 books after that, all of which, many of which have been bestsellers, but I've got millions of books out there. So, like, I'm not trying to blow my horn. I had the number one movie on Earth, the number one book on Earth, and the number one, like, author and book, whatever writer on Earth at the same time. So I've got a little bit of street cred.
And I mean, it sounds so obvious, like, well, explain the incompetence. Well, the president got shot by some 20-year-old lunatic, but explain a little bit more in detail. Why? Like, how could this have happened? Or what are your impressions of?
My issues are, like, they know certain zones where you're going to be shot at. And the guys that are the real, like that do Overwatch, that do, like, that protect personalities. I remember one time I wrote a book with Ryan Zinke. I'll give you an example. Ryan Zinke was asked by General Sanchez, who had an assassination attempt in Iraq. And Ryan Zinke was in charge of all special forces in Iraq. Sanchez said, I need the best of the best to defend me because Sanchez had an assassination attempt against him. Ryan said, well, the best of the best is SEAL Team 6. So do you really want my guys at SEAL Team 6 to do it? Because Ryan was a former commander at SEAL Team 6. Sanchez says, bring him in. They brought him in. Look, these guys, like, locked everything up. Every angle, every shooting position, everything else. This guy comes out of his house. They know exactly where everybody is, exactly where every angle is that can shoot him, can take a shot at him, whatever else. And after a month, Ryan said, well, you know what? These guys need to go do another job. And Sanchez said, no, you got to leave them with me. So, like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about professionalism that the Secret Service used to be. And now with this DEI hire bullshit that bull crap that they do, that has lost the version of what it is. And now we need to go back to what it is because, Trump is being threatened again. And I've heard in the last week or so that there's a lot of big threats that are coming in.
That's interesting. So, I mean, have you heard? Do you have any inside information? Have you talked to anybody who's in the know? That is there an investigation or anything, or you know what I mean? Or is it all right now just a lot of speculation? It seems like it's completely disappeared from any kind of reporting.
I know people that work on the team for Trump, and there's a lot of new, a lot of new stuff that's coming in. That a lot of foreign stuff is trying to take him out. So I think we're in a threat zone again. I think we're in a threat zone right now with Trump, and I hope that the guys that I know that are working on the team, and I know what they're doing. I know they're working double time. I know they're not sleeping, whatever else. That they're working to make sure that President Trump is protected.
Well, I would imagine that people who want to do harm to the United States, they probably have a lot more confidence now that they see that a 20-year-old with a ladder can take a couple of shots at the former president and future president. I would imagine. I guess what I'm saying is that probably that incident, even if all you know is what you saw on TV, that would probably embolden a lot of bad actors across the globe.
And there was already reports, which I have no ability to confirm or deny, that the Iranians were working very, very hard to kill him. There's a lot of people out there. Look, the United States is working in a very weak position right now. I don't want to get too political, but
I get political.
Okay, Russia would love to see Trump not back in power. I mean, Iran would love to see Trump not back in power. China would love to see, Trump not back in power. Bottom line is, can you imagine the difference between a Kamala, whatever this other joker is, versus a Trump getting in power right now, as far as the international stage is concerned? We're at the apex. We're at the bridge right now. And if they could make a difference in taking out one individual, which Trump is that individual, to lead this country, can you imagine how much better our adversaries would be if we did not have Trump there?
But Hillary tells me that Russia got Trump elected. That must be true.
No.
I read it on the internet and everything.
The wildebeest knows all.
That's a good one.
What do you think, Scott, in all seriousness, one thing I've talked to a couple people about or asked this question, if he was successful and had hit Trump and killed him, God forbid, what do you think the reaction would have been? You know what I mean? Of the United States, of the people, of voters, or whatever. Like, what do you think the reaction would have been?
You know, it's so devastating to even conceive the potential reaction from that, because, you know, I still believe that, you know, this incompetence was bred by the same people that are in charge of the country. Okay, so if you assume now, you assume that they allow Caesar to be killed. I'll go back 2,000 years to Rome. If you assume that they allowed Caesar to be killed, what do you think the reaction of Rome would have been? Okay, I'll put it like that historically, because I'm telling you right now, there would have been civil war. Okay, so I don't want that. I don't want that for my children. I got children. I'm not in this game right now for me. I'm in this game right now for my children. So I don't want that shite show to happen, you know, in this country. But I'm telling you right now, if that had happened, I would perceive immediate civil disobedience. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, I talked to a bunch of people who are not Trump fans. In fact, they hate Trump. People that I know who hate Trump or Democrats, and they would never vote for Trump. And even they were going, I'm really glad he didn't get killed. Like, it would have been a horrible situation. Not just, you know, because a life has ended, but they were basically, they agree with you. There would have been all levels of civil disobedience.
So we're not there. Okay, so we move forward. Thankfully, God whispered, like, you know, I don't want to be religious, but God whispered and said, we're going to move that bullet 1/10 of an inch to make sure it doesn't go through his basal ganglia. Okay, so that's what happened. And now we are where we are. And so we're in a stage where, let's face it, guys, Democratic Party has been taken over, and they now have an unelected official that's about to be their candidate. So the people that back that part of the regime say we're going to elect this thing no matter what. You know, and I've already given up my my bias, and my bias is against her. Okay, in Fort Trump.
Hey, do you belong to an association, a club, or an organization wrestling with their marketing? Well, most organizations waste a lot of money on marketing because it's so tough managing everything. Websites, social media, e-commerce, email, and the list goes on. Leave frustration behind with Sage Tree's fractional marketing department. Services, that is. They take care of everything. Planning, developing, advertising, and more. Getting started is real easy. Just visit sagetree.com. Click on the schedule an appointment button tomorrow. That's sagetree.com. Click on that schedule a call button tomorrow, and they will be more than happy to help you. All right, we're back with Scott McEwen. He's a world author and has written tons of books, and we were asking his opinion of not only the Trump assassination. So, Scott, let me ask you this. How deep do you think the problem is with Secret Service from the top down?
Well, I will say this. Initially, I will say, do you got the best team that's doing the job? You know, like when you're playing on a football team or a baseball team, as I was growing up, I played, you know, baseball at Oregon State, whatever. Do I have the best team that's with me to do the job? Obviously, they don't. They have not hired the team to be the best team. So because of DEI or whatever other BS they want to call it, bottom line is they don't have the best team. Then the second question is the people that are running the team, are they actually supporting the efforts to defend that individual they're supposed to defend? Biden and Joe Biden, yeah, they're probably doing that. They're probably like Hunter Biden has got his own 3-person team that runs his, let's just say, Women of the Night and gets their drugs and stuff like that based on documented data. I'm not talking about crap. I'm talking about documented data of people being paid off, whatever. He's got his team to run his thing that he's doing to make sure he doesn't get killed and can still do his hookers and other things. So, like, this is a really sick kind of, like, amalgamation of stuff that's going on, Dave. Like, and I'm talking about, like, it's deeper than people understand. Okay, so let's go to Trump. Who's defending Trump? You got little Barbie, like, whatever, can't even put her pistol back in her pocket, in her case, whatever else. Is that the best you can do? And now that's on, I just saw the other day that's on, Vance's team right now. Like, why is that thing still being hired? Sorry, but this is a DEI hire. This is a joke. They used to have the best and the brightest. We need to go back to the best and the brightest.
So are you saying, like, look, you're not saying that, like, maybe somebody planned it. You're just saying that they said, hey, put the bottom of the barrel on Trump's detail, and let's just let things work itself out. You know what I mean? You're not saying that somebody recruited this 20-year-old to go do these things. You're saying, look, they know that he's in danger, so they're purposely giving him an incompetent crew.
I will agree with your first point. Yes, you're correct. I agree they got an incompetent crew. But when you see the actual data of when they knew this guy was rolling there, and when they knew this guy was rolling there, looked like a squirrel, he's running drones, whatever else, then you rise to the level of incompetence to intentionality. So I don't know where that ends between those 2 points, but I'll tell you this right now. It started incompetent. It went to the point of absolute incompetence, to the point of, like, if he'd have been killed, negligent homicide at best.
Well, and here's the thing that concerns me. Then somebody, whoever was in charge of this ordeal, literally put their own people in harm's way. Because if he would have been able to get off more shots, there's Secret Service agents that it could have been taken out easily.
Oh, well, exactly. The other thing too is, like, the cop that supposedly rose himself up on the roof and saw the guy with an AR on the roof doing this and that, and he came down and didn't do anything for at least, I don't know what the time period was, 20 to 30 seconds. My friends, you got a sloped roof, whatever else. You go back to the point where it's not a sloped roof, as far away from that as you can, and there's an angle that you can do, and you start capping everything in your arsenal at that guy. Everything in your arsenal. You take out your pistol, you take out your rifle, whatever it is, and you cap every shell you got at that guy that's trying to kill the president. Everything.
Yeah,
immediately.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that. They didn't even cap a single shell. So, like, there's a problem here. There's an absolute problem here. Like, this country has got to get back to reality, and this is a reality check is what it is. It's an absolute reality check.
Are we going to get to the bottom of it? Is Grassley going to be able to continue on?
Not before the election.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't think anything is going to come out until after the election.
No, dude, the FBI and the Secret Service and everything else, this is the most corrupt group of people we've ever had in charge of anything. And I'll say this, like they know my address. They'll probably come down and talk to me. I don't give a shit. Bottom line is, like, I am disgusted with the level of federal protection that we have for our elected officials, Trump being included, but others included too.
Yeah.
This is absolutely a joke.
Well, on the positive side, and if you look at, all across the United States, I'm seeing a trend of SEALs, retired SEALs, running for office. And I see that as a positive.
We got people running for office, like, Ryan Zinke, my friend in Montana,
right?
That I wrote American Commander with. Absolute patriots. That's running for Senate there. Absolute patriots. Like, we've got a chance. The lions are stepping forward. The lions are stepping forward because the sheep are not listening. Mm-hmm. We need the lions to step forward and take the role, because we need them now, because the sheep are not listening to the message. And, and we need the Lions to step up and say, we're going to take control. And that's where we're at right now.
What's Zinke running for?
These men do it. Zinke's going to be congressman from Montana again.
He's going after, what's his face? Who's he going against?
No, Zinke's running. He's the incumbent. He's running whatever. But Sheehy is the guy that's running the SEAL that's running against
Kester.
Danes, but Tester. And if he takes Tester out, it's gonna be a big deal in the Senate.
Right.
I thought Zinke was running for governor at one point, but he's
no, he's not running for governor yet. But he will. He will one day be governor. He'll day be governor of Montana, and that'll be a good day too. Because when he retires to Montana and does that job, it'll be a great job. Great day for him.
Right.
Hey, so Chris Kyle actually had two books. He had American Sniper, and then he had a history of guns book. Did you help him on that one as well?
I did not. I was not involved in that. There was too much money that got kicked around in too short a period of time.
Well, the American Sniper
so
really.
Did that book with somebody else.
I don't think anybody anticipated that thing being so popular. I mean, the movie and the book, it just went through the roof.
No, number one book in America for 2 years.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm just a little old radio guy that lives in Alpine, and I read a bucket load of books, and not to blow smoke up your skirt, but that's probably one of the best books I've read, and I'm purposely not reading it fast. I'm taking it nice and easy and absorbing it. And I just want to let people out there know if you really would like to read a good book that you could sit down and you definitely write for the general public, which I like.
Dave, I've had a lot of criticism as a result of that book. When you're writing for America, the other side of America that doesn't love this country tries to attack what your message is, and so my message with Chris was one of sitting down at Bon Giovanni's, having a beer, and turn on the tape recorder and say, "Tell me your story of your life." And that's really was both the criticism and the truth of what that book was. And Chris was a patriot. He grew up. He literally lived in Alpine when we wrote the book, and and him and Tay were having a little problems. So he lived with me in Blossom Valley during that period of time. And, because they were having, three deployment problems, 3 deployments back to back to back. And so all these servicemen and women were having problems coming back because the war was very, very difficult on them. And this book was written for every service person, every servicewoman, every serviceman that served this country. And that's American Sniper.
There was what about the contract? I don't know if you want to say if you don't want to talk about this part, that's totally okay. But something just occurred to me. There was a lot of controversy with the whole Jesse Ventura part of that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Any comment on that?
Jesse and I met in Mexico one time with my fiance, and almost got in a fist fight over that. But that's another story for another day. I should have knocked him out, and he could have probably knocked me out too. But that being said, I totally disagree with Jesse. I'm not a fan of his. He's not a fan of mine. There was a lot of litigation went on. There's some things I cannot say. Bottom line is, they were at a wake for Mikey Mansour, who was a Medal of Honor winner at McPee's in Coronado. I was not there. I was a reporter of the story, which, basically there was issues of litigation against me as well for reporting this story. I backed Chris's story. I backed what the other SEALs that were there talked about the story, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, buddy. Hey, thanks a million for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon. We truly appreciate it. What do you got in the works? Anything new coming up?
We got a Second Amendment book that's coming out that I'm telling you right now is going to rock the world.
All right. Well, we're going to be ready for it.
Because the bottom line is we need the Second Amendment now more than ever.
Oh, boy, aren't you telling the truth?
What's the name of the book?
It's going to be the second.
There, that'll work.
That's
That'll catch your attention. All right, buddy. You take care, and we'll talk down the
Talk to
road.
you later, Dave.
All right.
Talk to you guys. Thanks for having me on. Bye.
You're
Thanks,
more
Scott.
our pleasure. Seal 1 compared to Frog's Lube, a lot. They're all different. They're very different. With Frog Lube, you need to first catch the frog. And then you have to clean with a degreaser solvent that lubricates and protects it. How many different types of frog lubes do you need? It's just too much, and it's a pain in the you-know-what. With Seal 1, it's one and done. You don't have to catch it. You just open the container. Wipe it on, wipe it off, and you're done. Buy some now at seal1.com. And if your gun store doesn't have it, ask them politely to put it in stock.
Yep, Seal 1's the best.
Now our favorite segment, sponsored by Seal 1, Stump My Nephew. And our special guest is going to read the question to Sam. Sam, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good.
Hey, Sam, how are you?
So this is
Can't
Jim
complain.
Belanger. By the way, Jim, tell Sam where you were born.
Sam, I was born in Rhinelander, Wisconsin.
How about that?
I'm a hodag.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
He knows what a hodag is. All right.
Are you ready, Sam?
Let's have it.
Okay, which World War II era firearm was known for being one of the quietest firearms ever made due to the integrated suppressor and subsonic ammunition?
Sent in by
Sent in by Carl from Rancho
Penasquitos.
Penasquitos.
Yep.
I can't say those big.
Rancho what now?
Rancho
Penasquitos.
Penasquitos.
That's a real
Rancho
place.
Penasquitos. And what was his name? Carl?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks very much for writing in, Carl. And you'll get double your money's worth tonight because there are two answers to that question that I believe are both equally valid. What World War II firearm was known for being extremely quiet due to its integral suppressor and subsonic ammunition? The first answer, let me back up a little bit. Why would you need a suppressed firearm in World War II? Suppressors were not, the technology was not well developed. They were not sophisticated, and you didn't see people rocking around with M1s with threaded barrels and suppressors. They were developed by organizations such as the OSS, the predecessor to the CIA, for assassination, for dealing with guards at high-value locations. And so they were consequently very specialized, purpose-built firearms, not produced in very large numbers. One answer to that question is the Delisle carbine. It's a bolt-action rifle based on a Lee Enfield action and chambered in .45 ACP. It feeds from 1911 magazines, and it has a very, very large integral suppressor on the front. .45 ACP in a 230-grain military-style loading is naturally subsonic, so with no action noise, being bolt-action rather than self-loading, and with a very, very big expansion volume and a subsonic bullet, that is almost as quiet as you can get. Another answer is the Welrod pistol, developed by, actually both of these were developed by the British, and that was a bolt-action repeating handgun chambered in 9mm with a... The grip is sort of interesting. It is also the magazine. So when you remove the magazine, it looks like basically a bicycle pump. It's designed to be inconspicuous, but also integrally suppressed, also manually operated, uses a suppressor with wipes. So very quiet for the first few rounds until those wipes degrade.
I'm sorry, neither of those answers are correct. We were looking for a Red Ryder BB gun with a compass in the stock.
Mark II, also integrally suppressed, also 9mm, but fully automatic. And
See, keep it up, Mike.
A little louder.
The answer they gave was the Delisle carbine. Now, okay, so I wanted to ask. So great job, you got it totally right. In fact, you got it twice as right.
Almost third.
They didn't even give the second one, so that's awesome. Now you said that in the last part that it's something about wipes. Can you go into detail on that?
Yes, wipes. You don't see these around as often anymore. partially for legal reasons, because in the United States they would be considered suppressor parts. But imagine a suppressor, a regular firearm suppressor, or if you're more familiar with cars, an automotive muffler, because it is the exact same thing, same patent.
That's for you, Dave. Go ahead.
But in addition to the internal baffles, you also have rubber wipes with like X marks cut into them so that the bullet has somewhere through which to pass. Now, because the rubber is flexible, after the bullet passes through, the rubber springs back into shape, thus sealing in some of the gas. But because rubber is very soft and the bullet is passing through it, it will chew up that wipe and poke a hole in it after a few dozen rounds, so it becomes less quiet.
So it actually covers the barrel? The bullet travels through it, through the barrel?
Yep. It covers up the path of the bullet through the suppressor. But again, in the United States, even though it is a flat piece of rubber with an X mark cut in it, that would be considered a suppressor part. And so you would have to go through all the paperwork and waiting and tax stamp nonsense for a flat piece of rubber.
I didn't know that. You ever heard of that, Jim?
No,
I've never heard of that.
I am
That's
absolutely amazed.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Good job, Tim.
All right, my friend. Not bad. Well, Carl from Rancho Penasquitas, you're going to have to wake up a lot earlier in the morning.
Yes, indeed.
To stump my nephew, my friend.
Yep.
Good job, dude. That
Good
was
man.
very, very awesome.
Yep. Excellent.
You got a blog in the hopper?
I have a blog post going up bright and early tomorrow morning, or as we call it in my time zone, afternoon.
Yeah.
And it will actually be the first entry in a series of blog posts which aim to explain everything you wish you knew about optics, but were too afraid to ask.
Oh, wow.
Sort of a beginner's guide to, you go to your friendly local gun store, you pull a box off a shelf, or you have a sales associate pull a box off a shelf, and one whole side of the box is covered in numbers. What do the numbers mean?
So optics is a very broad term. You mean scopes, red dots, all the above, or something specific?
All of the above and then some.
Wow.
The first entry will focus just on the primary specifications of magnified scopes, but as I said, there will be multiple other parts dealing with other types of optics and other specifications to pay attention to.
News you can use. That's awesome. That's actually very creative and very useful. So it's multi-part. What 2, 3, 4 in the series, or what are you thinking?
I have at least 4 so far, but it may have to go to 5 or 6.
What's something, Alicia, that you want to know about optics that you hope he covers?
One thing that I get a lot of questions on from people is red versus green.
It's good
red
question.
versus green and dot versus reticle, kind of the whole pros and cons of both.
Nice. You going to
Like a focus dot versus a wider reticle.
You going to cover that, Sam?
Yes, I will. Red versus green is actually really interesting. It gets into biology more so than technology.
Rods and
but I'll
cones.
cover that later.
Good. Well, there you go. Whet everybody's appetite. Okay, cool, man. Great job. Looking forward to the first in the series drops tomorrow in the morning, so we'll get that out in the email on Thursday for sure. And I think that's an excellent idea for a series. That's a reference pieces that people can go back to. That's a great idea. I love it. Cool,
Information man. You can use. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Betty. That was awesome.
Oh, is Sam still there? Sam,
yes.
Really quick question for you.
What's up?
We have a guest here in studio by the name of Jim. No. And I'm curious to know what you anticipate or think his carry gun might be.
So, Jim, what are you driving?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw a Facebook post. Did he just get an endorsement for a campaign, or is that someone else?
No, that's
someone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim Belanger, he's an instructor. And, Jim, what do you drive?
Yeah, what do you drive?
I drive today.
Yeah.
Today,
What's your main
drive?
drive?
Glock 34.
No.
What you drive?
We should have explained it.
like
your
car.
vehicle.
You're back to your car joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he goes and he listens to what kind of car you drive, and then he'll tell you.
Then
what
he'll
gun
tell you.
Our bad.
All right. So I drive an F-250.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you already said you carry a Glock 34, so it's kind of unfair.
Is that what you would for you?
Would that have been close to what you thought?
I don't know. Both are bigger versions of something else that's already popular. So there's an interesting.
That's good. That is very good. You would have done just fine. It's all right. He's an instructor. We're going to start working on him.
All right.
That'll take a lot of work.
I know. Ask another question. All right, buddy. Have a great evening.
See you, man.
Thanks for having me on. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Good night,
Sam.
Sam.
All right.
Dude, you nailed it.
Another great show.
Yeah, a Delisle carbine. I don't know if I feel like I've heard of that before, but I don't think I fully understood it was it used 1911.
I was trying to look up the 9mm he was describing.
had wipes.
I couldn't find it. I know. I couldn't figure it out.
How many guns do you know have a wipe?
Well, if they do, they're covered in Seal 1, the very best.
That's right. No frog legs over here.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, that's awesome.
Right.
That
So,
was a good
folks,
show.
Yeah, they need to get out there and get your prom tickets.
Jim, how do people find you?
Paragraph 2. We had that long discussion last before. Yeah. Paragraph2.net.
Good.
Oh, like you think we have a memory?
Yeah.
Well, no, but you and I had a fun time talking about it. You called me a used car salesman. And I thought that was a good thing.
And a very good one, I might add. All right. Okay, well.
Good. And go to Gun Prom and check out the gun show. So go to gunownersradio.com. And then Gun Rights Policy Conference is in between the gun show and Gun Prom. There's a lot going on in September and October.
Stay on the website.
Yeah.
San Diego County Gun Owners.
And then check out the voter guide. Man, this is it. I got to tell you, there's like these 3 months, August, September, October.
That's it.
This is such an important. There's so much going on. Clear your schedule just for the next couple of months. Work a tabletop. Go on our website and volunteer for a tabletop. If you just go to stcgo.org and you can volunteer to help us distribute the voter guide. Go to Gun Prom. Go to the gun show. Go to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is free, and vote and get 10 other people to vote with you and use our voter guide.
As Mark Grant says, announcer of the Padres, call your neighbor, tell a friend.
There you go.
Get the word out.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.